How are we doing, guys? It's me, I'm back. You saw me in the morning. I was a speaker in one of these panels about re-engagement, and now I'm going to be a moderator for this very amazing and very talented set of individuals we have over here. Can we please have a round of applause for these people over here we have? Thank you so much, guys. You're lovely, lovely, lovely. We just had lunch, so just bear with us for a second. We're going to be in our grip very soon. And I'm going to just start by introducing the topic that we will be discussing over the next 30 minutes or so. So it's about CRM, lifecycle, and retention. All the sessions you have been having so far have been about making sure that the user actually comes and downloads the app. We would be talking about how do we make sure the user actually stays on the app. So the overall part about retention and retaining users is something that will be a focal point for our panel and our discussion moving forward. And for that, we all are CRM experts. I'm going to just start by introducing these people over here, lovely set of individuals. I'll start with John. So John works for this brilliant initiative. The company is called Share the Meal. And they work with the World Food Program. And I'm going to do the rest of the honors. I'm going to let John do that. John, please go.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm John. I'm from Mallorca. I work in charity. So I Share the Meal. We are a fundraising app. So we have different goals around the world, like Afghanistan, Yemen, Ukraine.
A bit of eco here happening.
And yeah, basically you can donate to a cause that appeals to you, and as soon as we reach the goal, we will send the money to this country, and the country officer that we have there, they will send us some updates about the field so you can follow the impact. So please download the app. You can donate once, or you can subscribe. With €1, it's enough. I will make sure that you spend more later as a lifecycle manager. So thank you. Please download now. And our mission is to end hunger. So thank you.
That's a very noble cause we have here, John. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. We'll talk about another great individual we have here, Clotilde. She is working for Batch, which is, as you guys guess, also one of our sponsors. Thank them if you liked your lunch, by the way, basically. She is, it's a mobile engagement platform. Am I correct, Clotilde?
Yes. Very hard to go after you, John. But hi, I'm Clotilde. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Batch. Batch is a customer engagement platform, as you said. We're a recent company. We got started 5 years ago and went from being 40 to 110 in the last 2 years. Our mission is to work with CRM teams, making sure they're able to orchestrate in the moment and relevant customer interactions. And we work with the teams at Sephora, Decathlon, Rakuten, LVMH, Tagesspiegel, or BVG Yelby, that you must know here. And this is my very first public speaking event in Germany, so very intimidated.
Don't be.
But super happy as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Clotilde. Thank you so much. Another person, we were talking about noble causes, and we saw, John is working on a great noble cause. There is another person who's also working on a great noble cause. We have Roma, who works for Lovoo, which is this app which, helps you meet people in a very safe and sound environment. Roma, do you want to just, yeah?
Sure, hi. Yeah, nice to be here, and yeah, welcome to our panel. Maybe I will share a few words about the company. So I'm leading the CRM team at Lovoo, and we are responsible for all the actions taken by users after the acquisition, of course. And what's unique with the app, so it's like indeed the app that it's making user engage, and like it's about interaction between them. But what's very interesting is we have a dating section where you can meet the love of your life, or I don't know, go for a date, whatever you like to do. And if you are not into this topic, Lovoo also offers live streaming sessions. So you can either become like very famous live streamer where people are watching you and like sending you gifts, but you can also watch different streamers and get engaged. And yeah, our job as the CRM team, it's of course to bring users and basically fulfill their needs.
Nice, thank you so much, and thank you so much for the introduction as well, Roma. Another person we have on the panel, last but not the least, definitely, we have Robert over here with us, who is working at this. I'm not going to tell the name, but I'm going to let Robert speak about that. This amazing app, which is helping so many pupils in Germany, do the lessons and courses they can. You guys have like more than 2 million users, monthly active users. That's amazing. Robert, do you want to go?
Yeah, hey guys. So I'm working for the amazing company. Anu said that already. Thanks for the introduction. I'm working for Simple Club. It's a German-based learn app. So if you don't know, your children or your little sisters or brothers, they will know it for sure. I'm coming from the offline relationship world, I would say. I started in sales. I'm for 2 years now in the app tech environment. And I'm happy to be here with all the experts. Also my first time. So I think when I'm sitting here, I can call myself an expert. That was always a goal. So thanks for that.
No, you're killing it. You're killing it. Perfect. So, panel, are you ready for me firing a questions at you? Yeah? Yeah, let's do this. We have an audience. They are excited about this. The first question I have, for the panel we have in front of us is, all of you are like lifecycle marketing experts, right? So tell me what goes behind, making this, best-in-class or rather world-class lifecycle marketing strategy. What do you guys need when you have to, do something like this? I would pick Roma. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, sure, I can start. So I would say no matter how big your idea or like how big your vision is for like making things perfect, I would always keep in mind that you need to start with the basics, which means let's imagine you have a new brand, for example, and you don't know like how to take a user through different steps. You, of course, need to start with the first touch point, like who is my perfect user? Who is the persona that I want to reach? What I expect from this person? What I want to offer to this person? So after the user acquisition, of course, starts the magic, which is CRM. And we have the power to really define what are the steps. So after acquiring user, we define, okay, we want the user to either like engage with the app or the product or buy the product. Let him buy again, let him stay loyal. We can also try to retain him. So we really need to think what kind of customer lifetime value we want to have for our brand. And I would say something that is hard to measure, and like for some companies, it's also hard to also follow the rule. It's very important to have a good branding. I know that brand teams are always like, yeah, we spend a lot of time and like a lot of effort, and we cannot really measure our job, which is, yeah, partly true. But to be honest, all of the effort that the brand teams are spending, it's really helping us, CRM, and the whole company to achieve the goal.
And you're absolutely right by saying, it has to be, this good branding. And I would also, maybe move the question a bit to Clotilde, because, her company helps, making all these companies, better brands. What do you want to add to this, Clotilde?
First, completely agree with you, Roma. And then maybe something I want to add is, so obviously you need to know what are your funnel steps and have a ready set of scenarios for at each step of the funnel. But also you need to know in real time where each user is along that funnel. And it means obviously relying on solutions that have that are backed by real-time new generation data platforms and thought for the complexity of a mobile-first world, and that are, for instance, able to synchronize data in real time across several channels so that you can track users along the funnel and interact in a relevant way.
Nice. And I guess, when you're tracking this along the funnel, and maybe, Robert, you can add to it, like, what is your perspective in tracking these users along the funnel?
Yeah, I also think you have to define at first what Roma said, like define your goals, be realistic with that. And also, I would always go for adjusting your strategy. So when you feel like, okay, we tried something and it's not working, like play around, turn around, test around, and adjust your strategy. And I would also always go with define things that should not happen, because you can always say, oh, we haven't reached a goal. But when you say it should never happen that we just have 0.5% increase, because then you have a measure and you can say, damn, we didn't make it.
Tell me, guys, like it happens so many times, and you always have to, then take a back step. So it's always, as these guys said, it's always better to, just visualize this whole thing, all together at once. Talking about visualization, the one thing, that always comes to my mind is, how do we actually visualize our user journey, because the user journey is not linear, right? It's non-linear. A user does not just come, gets aware and make a purchase. A user goes through many cycles, and we as lifecycle marketers...
Posits. You should use posits. Posits is the ultimate artifact to visualize your user journey. Yeah. I remember when I first joined Blacklane, it's a mobility app, kind of Uber, but luxury, Tesla, global. So there was CRM people there was activities, but I didn't know. There was not a visualization of the life cycle. So I spent the first month just with posits, printing, with the scissors. So I get like a whiteboard from the board from the product team. I bring it to the corridor because there was no space in the marketing team. I was spending all the time with the scissors and gluing stuff. So the CEO was passing there. What the hell is doing this guy? Like posting everything. So I printed all the emails, all the pushes, everything. I put it there. Like it was like a 5 meters, 2 meters big board, and everyone was passing there and giving me also feedback, how to improve things and so on. So after that, I had to digitalize it. So I was using at that time tools like Draw, IO from Google, something that is integrated with Jira or Confluence. But of course, this was post-pandemic, no? And now we cannot use POSIT anymore. It's difficult to be with the people looking at your life cycle. So I discovered Miro, and it's a really great tool, and it's really helping a lot to do that. But I really miss this physical part of working with the life cycle altogether. Yeah.
Can you just add, I did not make you say that? No, that's quite true. And I just want to just add one thing. And this is something I do as well. We do a lot of visual collaboration, and for doing things like that, doing either a physical whiteboard or a virtual whiteboard comes very handy. What do you think, Roma? Am I right? Or
Yeah, totally. And this what John just said sounds like a story of my life, because I remember when I was working in a very beginning of a startup, and of course all the processes were still under construction. It was, to be honest, quite messy. We were doing the same way, so we were printing everything and putting this on the wall, so it's sounds like we were in the same company. So maybe it's a common logic for doing that. I would just maybe add, apart from this, what you just said, that it's extremely important, and this is something that we also see, that you exchange with different teams. It shouldn't be just the job done by CRM, because from CRM you have just one perspective, right? You know what you are doing and you know what you want to do. But when you want to really have the broad picture and you want to make a proper visualization, I would still include other teams. So yeah, for example, design a team like product designer, product managers, because based on that, we can really identify all touch points, not only coming from CRM, but I don't know, if you have an app, you can also say okay, this is the onboarding coming from product. This is, I don't know, the brand awareness campaign, whatever it is. And after that, after having the printed or digital version of all the touch points of the steps that are happening, I would still highlight that you should invite everyone again and say look, this is the vision. Do you agree? Do you have anything more to share? Because exchange in companies, it's extremely important. Sometimes it's missing because you feel I'm in my bubble. I'm CRM and I know what to do. But I think it's
Yeah, this is the first thing that I learned from my boss is before you engage with the users, engage with your team. Yeah. So we was also doing the second process of this visualization was that we invited key persons, stakeholders to create the new life cycles. So this is really important, the team members. They can bring really nice ideas also.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when whatever we lifecycle marketers are putting it out for the customers, I mean, we are the customers as well, right? And if we don't like what we are putting it out, the customers will not. So experiment with yourself to start with. And you raised a very good point about touch points, Roma, and I just want to just take a leash out of it and ask the panel this question about where does this all these engagement strategies we keep talking about, where does these engagement strategies fit in your overall user journey, and to just rephrase, when do you actually start reaching out to your customers? Is it on day zero? What do you think, John? When do you start reaching out to your customers?
I mean, it depends the product itself.
That's a consulting answer.
But yeah, so I mean, I like every engagement strategy. Well, I like first to break down what is the user journey into different stages, and for each stage have a different strategy because you have different goals and so on. And I usually use one of the most ancient template for a story design that is called the hero's journey or the monomyth. This was being coined by Joseph Campbell, and he has studied the all histories in life from the Bible to the Odyssey. And it's a model, it's a cycle where a user, the hero, is going from different stages. Matrix is using it, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, they are all using this because it's a narrative that is in the collective conscience of the humankind during thousands of years. No? You have the So everything starts with someone in his comfort zone, and then you have the call of the adventure, no? And this is something, you are scrolling in Instagram, you see an ad, this is the call to the adventure, no? You click, you install the app, you enter to the app, you feel a little bit lost at the beginning, so the next step is the refusal of the call. So then a mentor comes. A mentor could be a welcome email, it could be an in-app, it's someone that is teaching you how to use the app, no? And then you cross the first threshold, that this is like the aha moment when you understand why you are here in the app. And then it goes deep into the cave and into the dungeon, but the end is to come back home, it's the return. And this is when the user it becomes so loyal that he's ready to go back from the digital app world to the physical world and start to talk with other people and say, hey, you should use this app. And he becomes the mentor of a new user. So it's a way, CRM, the final goal is to get evangelists that are going to bring more users, no? So it's free acquisition, you don't need to pay. So it's the best.
And you know, I love those metaphors, you know, dungeons, and we talk about dragons already, like, no, we're not going to go there, guys. I'm going to pass...
also a lot from there.
Yeah, but I'm going to pass it on to Robert, you know, what do you think about this, of what just John said? Can you comprehend?
What do you think about that is hard after John? I would say I agree 100%. Like, that was a good story, I think. Maybe just to add, like, I would also split it down, like, in different, like, what users really need. Do a user that starts downloading the app and using all features, do that user needs communication to engage? I don't think so, like, he's exploring on its own. So maybe we can define in front what step, what life cycle needs what action. And also say, like, okay, when the user hits this and this engagement, then the goal is reached. So we are just happy with that. And maybe there's also coming back to that learning app feature. So I don't care if a user during the summer holidays has an engagement at day 0 because there is no pressure. But during the exam times, this is maybe something different, right? I want that they learn and that they understand everything. And when you have no chance to engage users at all, I think it's also worth to try to do mistakes. So for example, send out an email and announce your new feature that is not there. So the users just, what do you have sent me? Where is the feature? And 3 days later he came, oh, sorry, we did a huge mistake. The feature doesn't work, but now it's online. And then you get them because they think they sent me something, oh, they're stupid, they just did something wrong. But they will come back 3 days after because you build a story around that feature that was 3 days too late. So
yeah, and it's also a good way to test if a feature should be built, no? You can create like a mock feature with an in-app message or like this.
Exactly, and you can try that with everything. Like when you know the user is already gone and you have no chance to activate them, make them complain. Like when you are able to solve a complaint in a very good way, the user is on your side again and loyal because they thought, oh, they fucked it up, but they managed it to keep me happy. They did an amazing job, and next time I need them, I will download the app again.
Yeah, that's quite relevant. And Rob, you were actually mentioning about the mistakes. What I'm going to just reverse this question to you, and and you can be honest about this, or maybe not. I'm going to ask you, what has been your biggest, failures, or rather wins? Just give me one failure and one biggest win. Because we have some really interesting questions coming, guys. So I'm just going to narrow it down to one failure and one win in your life cycle marketing strategy in your career so far.
So let me take the win maybe from my previous job in the offline world. So the win was I go to the customer and I'm prepared. I'm leading the conversation. I decide what is happening. So that was my goal. That was my success. But in the app, there are a lot of other things. Like the marketing team wants to promote an event. The product team wants to promote a new feature. I want to have the life cycle. So there is so much communication at the same time that it was a big failure when I started, that I wanted to communicate everything at the same time. So my life cycle, the marketing activation, the event, the new app feature, and maybe the wrong email.
That's a classic mistake.
That's completely overwhelming, and then it leads to communication that is not fitting to the life cycle because it's like overlapping. You say, hey, can I help you? You do that, you have a great job, just subscribe. And I'm confused, the user is confused.
And actually, this is something we see a lot working with more than 300 CRM teams. When irrelevant CTAs get sent to users because the data about where the user is in their life cycle is not up to date. Sounds weird with this audience of very mobile-first people, but with older accounts and larger enterprise accounts, we still do see many CRM teams using in-house systems or legacy platforms, and it does happen that a user goes in-store to buy something and spends their loyalty points, and a few hours later they get the email of, hey, you should spend your loyalty points. This is super deceptive for users. And this is something we see a lot, and we see two ways of avoiding that. Either, like you guys, using one platform that has all your data sources in real time and all your delivery channels. Obvious answer. But then some accounts need to keep using in-house solutions, or they have huge history with some legacy CRM platforms. And then you need to have solutions that connect very deeply, either with APIs or powerful connectors, to sync this data in real time, to synchronize this data in real time, and make sure you avoid that. You know exactly how to engage each user. But this is something we still see a lot.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's still a learning curve, right? Like we still learn. We do a lot of experimentation. We learn, what works, what doesn't work, what channel works. Talking about channel, guys, I just want to have a question for this panel because it has been buzzing me for a while, honestly. And my question is, what do you do, in terms of engagement, just to keep the users coming back? I'm asking in terms of the channel mix. How do you make sure you work with these different channels to keep the user engaged within your ecosystem? Who should I pick for this one? Roma, what about you? Do you want to answer this?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, so for example, what we do at Lovoo, like the answer would be, it really depends. But this is not what I think we want to discuss in here, and it's not what like the others want to hear, so I would just bring an example from Lovoo. So my answer would be omnichannel communication. So we have a dating app, and like if you have an app, of course you want to focus on mobile. What was in the past, it was, for example, trying to engage with a user by the easiest solution, the easiest way, which was back then like sending an in-app message. So you direct your communication, you write in the in-app what you want, you put the CTA, and then you wait for a user. And it works. But what about users who are not using the app, right? So you can put thousands of different communication, but if the user is not in the app, he will never see your message. That's why the very great and smart solution is to connect a push to the in-app. So we want to direct you to the app, so we send a push. The push makes you to open the app. The app, it's already showing you the in-app, and we got you. So you are doing this, what we want you to do. But of course, like in those channels of communication, you really need to keep in mind that the communication needs to be short, very engaging. It has to be interesting, so you can't really put a lot. That's why for this moment, when we want to, announce, interesting feature, or in the case of love stories, we want to show users like, hey, we have like couples that are together for years, you can be one of them. We use newsletter. Of course, the communication has to be personalized, so you need to really see what's important in your business, like how your users are reacting. You can even personalize the communication based on every user reaction. So yeah, based on overall my experience, not only Lovoo, I would say all the channels use smart together.
Nice, and that works. And Clotilde, from your side, because you have seen all these clients doing different kind of channel mixes, what works the best?
Thanks. Sure. So first, completely agree with Roma to engage, choose the right channel with the right message. When it's a longer one, choose email. Something I want to come back to is the importance of in-app engagement, which is something we see a lot, and that is, according to AppsFlyer, what 85% of non-gaming apps focus on, which makes a lot of sense to me because even if not everyone is using the app, with in-app engagement strategies, you can address all users, not only the one that opted into communications. And you can also reach super high performances. A few specific examples. So we're seeing, on promotions, obviously it works very well with promotions. You can reach, so Sephora reached as high as 70% engagement on in-app promotions during Easter weekend, so super high. And also one use case I like a lot and we advise a lot to clients is to use in-app engagement, the in-app messages to re-opt-in users to other communication channels so that they become reachable by email or push. The LVMH group, they have one in-app re-opt-in campaign that has driven an increase of 10% in their user base. It's really well integrated into navigation, and with this app, they're able to reach 90% opt-in rates on iOS. So pretty impressive.
Wow,
So
90
this
is
something.
big.
Yes.
That's a big opt-in rate, huh?
Yes, it is.
Wow, amazing.
So we're quite happy. They're a success story for us.
Let's talk
So
about
yes.
that, behind. I really want to know about
Yeah,
how
I'll show you the campaign if you want, of course.
Perfect, perfect. John, thoughts?
I agree with Roma. Cross channel is the way, but I think we need not to be close just push in-app email. There are more channels you can use. Even the small badge that you have in the launcher of the icon of your phone, it's already a channel that you can use. No, this red badge with a 1 or a 2. Or there is another, this news feeds, content cards. It's like an inbox inside of the app that you can publish content and personalize. I was working before in a spiritual advice or marketplace, so we could use this part to, as we had the astrology, the star sign of the user, we could kind of fit this with content related with your sign, for example. No? So this, or in Blacklink, we also was using that. If you are traveling to New York, so we was using this inbox to send you guides about the best bar in New York, hotels, and so on. So we was feeding.
That's smart. That's really smart.
With context, content in your context. No?
Yeah. And talking about inbox is one thing. The one thing that actually works very well when you do these kind of things, and it's just 2 words: deep links. Guys, do deep links. If you guys are not doing it, start doing it now. Go back to your product teams. Ask them to create these deep links within your app. Use them where you can. Make your customer journey as smooth as possible. Make sure your app is as integrated in the ecosystem as possible. Use emails. Use deep link in the emails. That's just my perspective, but deep links. That's it I'm going to say for now.
Dynamic links. Universal
and dynamic links.
And then it becomes complex.
we have a few minutes left, and I have possibly the most important question of this panel so far. I'm not saying it because it's CRM and I'm working in CRM, but I'm saying it because actually I think it makes sense. It's about segmentation, guys, and personalization. I want to ask these talented set of individuals that what is their idea, when it comes to segmentation and personalization? How do they take segmentation and personalization into account, in their overall user journey? Roma, want to start?
I think it's a key, and I know that companies with smaller database might not agree, because this is what I also experienced. That for some companies that think okay, we have few thousand users, we have no way to segment communication, we have no way to personalize communication, because we have not enough information, which is not true. And I would like to also tell you what they are doing, and I wouldn't recommend to do. It's spamming users. So sending overall the same communication and wait. So, okay, they converted, I take them out. I try to spam the others to make them tired and finally buy the product, engage with the service, whatever it is. And for example, at Lovoo, what we are doing, and I think it's very needed to do to personalize communication, because the topic is so sensitive that you really need to kind of get this emotional attachment to the product, and you really need to be in the exact communication funnel. So, of course, we have users defined based on this, how active they are, how much they engage with the app. But yeah, I also would love to hear from others how they do it.
Well, who wants to go next? Robert, you have been staying quiet for a while. I'm seeing this. I don't like it, so go for it.
That was kind of funny. Now I lost what I wanted to say. But I think, I would say the most important thing, so personalization is important, know the user, analyze. I completely agree with Roma. When you don't have a lot of data, you have to learn on other ways to find it out. But I think we're talking about complicated stuff and complicated engagement activations, but what we completely forget is we all know our real offline world. So let me give you an example. I'm a skateboarder. I don't know if you noticed that in the ground floor of that building, there is a skate shop. So I don't know if you ever went to a skate shop, but when you go to a skate shop, you have the cool guy working there, the store manager. And this guy observes perfectly if you're coming in and you are a skateboarder, if you're coming in and you're a mother buying for your child, if you're already looking through the shirts, if you need help, if you need to try something. And we should not forget that. When a user is engaging on its own, don't give them a trial. Let them try. They will do it. When a user don't know what to do and is not using any features, help them. Help them use everything, get them a trial. And always think of that offline world, like it's all existing. Everyone, like people did it years ago, we just forget about that. I think it was an example by the panel before where making ads in a FIFA football game, yeah, where is it coming from? That's not new, like we did that in offline football games since years, like forever. So I think sometimes it's good to just close the app, open the eyes and think, this guy in the shop made it perfectly and I really engaged with that, and then we can learn a lot from things that are already existing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be a bit surprised. I mean, I want to meet this guy who works at the skateboard shops, who knows everything. I mean, I want to have a word or two. Clotilde, thoughts?
Sure. Well, obviously, with segmented or targeted campaign, we see a 60% increase in performance across the board. So this is something you need to do. Performance, I mean engagement, so obviously needed. However, and I think I've had several conversations about that today with different people, collecting personal data gets harder and harder with regulations. Katie from mParticle mentioned it at length this morning with 144 countries that have put out regulations for data privacy. So the point I wanted to make very close to yours actually is that you don't need to have personal data or collect personal data to know things. With your example, the cool guy at the skateboard shop doesn't need to know the name or email of whoever. However, you need to know the way they're engaging in real time and how they're, engaging with your product. Are they scrolling through tons of stuff? Are they just not doing anything? And this is the kind of targeting that we advise the most. No personal data, but very good mastery of what's happening in your product, which means you need to have around the table product, tech, and CRM usually, and have the right tools to synchronize that in real time, but you don't really need personal data.
Man, this skateboard guy is really popular. I mean, I just want to meet this guy. John, have you met this guy?
No, but I know the shop.
Yeah, yeah. You want to add last thing? I mean, we're off time, team, but I really want John's opinion on this one because I think it's relevant.
I mean, segmentation is key, and as a marketer, we have more flexibility than a product manager that they need a release to get some tech insight. So for me, it's important that we don't own the product, but we own the narrative, the story, no? And we need to create personalized segmentations and story by the archetype of the user, no? So we are the architects of the stories, at the end.
True, and it's always the narrative that matters. And on that, I'm just going to say you have been a wonderful audience, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much, panelists, for being a part of this panel. Please have a round of applause for the panelists.